Hello, everyone. Kayla Moore here once again. I am the author of Your Path to Songwriting Success, 7 Steps to Becoming a Confident Songwriter. And I have a special guest today, Lisa Gay Nichols, who is a fellow incubated author.
Yes.
Um, I just want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Angela Loria, helps people bring their books to life and helps people shine their light and make a difference in this world in a big way. So, Lisa is a best selling author of 2 books. The first one called Crazy Little Thing Called Teens, and the second one called Surviving Your Out of Control Teen. She is also a life coach and she uses a special tool called EFT tapping. She's a certified EFT tapping practitioner. And so, Lisa, can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Sure. And thank you so much for talking with me today. I really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
thanks for joining me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I am a former vice president at a large financial institution, national financial institution. I'm also a former journalist. I worked for a fresh produce industry newspaper called The Packer, and I actually have a master's degree in agricultural journalism of all things.
Wow.
So yes, and when I worked at the financial institution, I was a project manager and a business analyst, and I managed a team of project managers and business analysts. And in my life, I have successfully managed hundreds of projects. I also I'm a kind of a overachieving volunteer. I was especially involved in a nonprofit for about 15 years. Did everything from president of the board to raising hundreds of thousands of dollars through fundraising and setting up a new website, setting up a new CRM. I mean, I just did like had
Done
events,
it
I did
all.
classes, I did kind of like everything across the board.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so, yes, and so where my passion and my kind of expertise or my stardust, you might say, is in moving things forward when things are stuck and when things need to be improved and when things can have kind of systemic issues or can just be better to support people in their jobs or in their roles as a volunteer or the organization as a whole. I
Mhm.
really love kind of digging in and finding those creative solutions, getting things unstuck, I'm very goal driven. Just ask my kids, and just really love to get things done. So, what I've focused my EFT tapping business on is helping entrepreneurs, business owners, songwriters, other professionals get unstuck from where they are right now. A lot of times we know that we should be doing something to move ourselves forward, and we just
Mhm.
can't bring ourselves to do it.
Yes.
And I help people move through those places where they're really stuck.
That's great. I think everyone goes through that at some point in their life.
Absolutely. Mhm.
So in my book, I mention EFT tapping as a way to help songwriters maybe make peace with where they are, but I'm definitely not an expert. So I just mentioned it and I use it myself. But can you tell everyone exactly what EFT is, what it's about, and how it could help people?
Sure. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's considered part of the energy psychology family. It's also called tapping because we literally tap on our bodies, on our meridian points as we're doing this modality. And it's been around since the 1980s. There are way over 100 studies that prove the efficacy of it on everything from sugar cravings to PTSD symptoms.
Mm.
And what it does is it helps to reset the amygdala, the limbic system in the brain that has been caught into like a freeze mode, fight, flight, freeze.
Mhm.
And that freeze mode, when we go through a trauma, especially when we're children, can kind of get stuck in our systems. And a lot of times too, when we go through a type of trauma, small or big,
Mhm.
we create beliefs about ourselves and about the world that we then live the rest of our lives through this belief system, through this perception that we have.
Yeah.
And EFT is magic at letting go of the emotional triggers or charges that we have around thoughts and experiences in our past, as well as shifting those beliefs into something that's more positive, more supportive of ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, and it also lowers stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. It kind of resets the energy body in our physiological body, as well as helping the limbic system. So that's, I don't want to get too scientific here, but
Oh,
that's what
that's
it
really
does.
interesting. It's really, really interesting. I actually didn't realize how it was connected to your brain. I knew it was something about releasing, negative emotions and things like that. But as far as the brain connection, that's really, really interesting to me.
It is. The limbic system is pre-verbal. It was developed before humans had the ability for language. And
Okay.
so you can talk at it all you want, and
Yeah.
it's not really going to hear you.
Wow.
And with EFT, with tapping, I see it as a kind of a combination of cognitive exposure, somatic, because you're tapping on your body, and the ancient Chinese philosophy of acupressure and acupuncture, and maybe a little quantum physics thrown in,
Yeah.
and so it can be really just magical. And I've worked with people, everything from having sprained their ankle and not being able to move their ankle to being able to move it,
Mhm.
to releasing a consistent and persistent fear of death that was like a minute by minute, always afraid of death,
Oh, yeah.
to helping resolve conflicts with children.
Mhm.
It's very versatile and very flexible in the way that it can be
Yeah,
used.
definitely. I remember using EFT when I was about to take the stage for the first time in a long time.
Ah,
And I was so nervous. I didn't know what was going on. And I think I did like a YouTube search and tried to find something that would give me some relief. And I must say that EFT tapping definitely helped me. It definitely helped me to take that first step.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, Lisa, do you think you can help us songwriters, um, first of all, make peace with where we are? Because I think that's a major step before you could even move forward with anything in songwriting, is to just make peace with where you are and know that you're okay with where you are. Like for me, I'm older than most artists or people getting into the music industry. So I had to make peace with the fact that I went through corporate America and all that kind of stuff. And I'm at this age, I had to make peace with where I am in order to take the next step. So if you can help us with that, it would be awesome.
So, when you think of I'm older, what feelings come up for you?
Hmm. Lost time. Um, that's the major one.
So,
Just
some
feels like I
regret?
lost a lot of time. Also, um, there's a sense of competition, a sense of competing with younger people,
Okay.
knowing that the industry is full of much younger people. I personally think age is just a number, but that is something that I did face before I could even pursue songwriting.
And so, when you think of the lost time, is there regret?
Oh yeah, there was definitely regret. Um, there was, as I was in corporate America, there was definitely a feeling of being stuck. Um, Knowing that in my heart I needed to do one thing, but wanting to do something that I should be doing according to society. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Taking care of my family in a particular way, having a career that was more stable. So that was definitely something that I had to make peace with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think just people in general, they may they may not think they're worthy. They may think, they don't have the skills, or they have this desire in their heart, but they don't think they're worthy of pursuing that dream.
Okay. Um, Great. So when the first thing that we do when we're doing EFT tapping is we ask ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10, how intense is this experience for me? And 0 is I'm neutral. I have no charge or emotions around this, and 10 being it is extremely intense.
Yeah.
So the first thing the listeners today is to look at within yourself and think about what is it that I need to accept about myself before I move forward in my songwriting dream. And so we'll use the I'm older and I should take care of my family as two of those. And even if your listeners, if these aren't their specific issues, they can still tap along with us and they will get what's called borrowed benefits. And or they can think of their own thing that they need to accept about themselves, um, and use their words, kind of a thing. So
Okay.
again, EFT can be very flexible in that way.
Mhm.
So, if do you still have some level of acceptance that you need around these issues?
Um, Let me see. I've worked my way through a lot of them, and I do feel really comfortable and confident right now. But what does come up sometimes, and I always have to go back and talk myself out of those feelings, because I definitely need to change those beliefs, because I feel like I'm representing someone who is pursuing a dream at an older age. And I am among a lot of people who are younger. So it does come to mind sometimes that I may be 20 years older than some of these people.
Mhm.
And in the industry, at a certain age, you could be seen as washed up, or you just won't get the recognition and the maybe fame. I'm not looking for fame, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a certain age, I would say maybe in your 20s and 30s. Just so everyone knows, I am 41 and I am proud of it. I have a lot of life experience that makes me really proud that I am this age. But yeah, definitely that is something that comes up for me from time to time, is that I am this age, and I don't know how to explain it.
I understand. So on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you put the intensity of that sometimes?
Depending on the situation, it can go up to maybe a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and do some tapping.
Okay.
And we'll focus on since that one still bugs you, we'll really focus on that one, okay?
Okay, sure.
So as we go through this, you can use either hand when you tap. There are times when you can even tap with both hands in certain locations, like the collarbone point. I'm going to walk through the points really quick, but you can always tap with both hands if you want. But just one hand is good, either hand, switch hands, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
As we go through, I'll be saying some things and I'll have you repeat them. You'll follow along with me as I tap and you'll repeat them. The only thing is, if something else is more true for you, like if I say I'm really angry and you're like, I was really hurt. So say your words. And so that it really rings true for you and resonates with you.
Okay.
The first thing that we do when we start tapping is we have a setup statement. And in the setup statement, we're gonna tap right here on the side of our hand. It's right below the little finger on the side of the hand on the soft part. It's called the karate chop point because you know that. And this is the only time we use the karate chop point. And we'll start with saying a statement that starts with even though I have this problem, and you describe the problem in detail. And this is one tip for doing EFT. Be as specific as you can. Like, don't just say, I'm really upset. Say, I'm really upset because, and give a specific event or situation that you're upset about. That's when it works best.
Okay.
And so I'm really upset because of this, or whatever the problem is. And then you end on a note that is basically is saying that you acknowledge those feelings and you accept that you have those feelings, because feelings can overwhelm us and have a lot of power when they're not acknowledged. And so we're acknowledging them with, and the statement I usually use is, I deeply love and completely forgive myself. But you could say, I accept and forgive, or and completely accept myself, sorry. But you could say, I accept and forgive myself. I choose to forgive myself anyway. I'm a good person and I deserve better. There's other ways that you can end that. So after the setup statement, different people, different EFT practitioners start other places, but I was trained, so I start at the top of the head. And you're just tapping with 2 or 3 fingers, and just, you don't have to tap hard. If you're a sensitive person, you can just tap really lightly or even just above the spot. So from the top of the head, we'll go to the top of the eye, which is actually right on the eyebrow point next to the nose. And then the side of the eye on the bone, under the eye, on the bone basically, under the nose, on the crease of the chin. The collarbone point is not on the collarbone. It's just about maybe just an inch below it, where there's a soft indent, and it's next to the breastbone. And then I like to use the bottom of the ribs. And then we go to the under of the arm, which is about 4 inches below your underarm. And then I like to use the top of the wrist, which is just below the joint with the hand. And then the bottom of the wrist. And then we go back to the top of the head. And as we're doing this, we're talking about this issue that we're addressing. And we call it out the way that it is. And some people may see it as negative, and some people may struggle saying the negative, especially if they really believe in like the law of attraction or something like that. But we are calling it out. You know, like I said, it takes away its power when it's called out. And we're telling the limbic system, this is what we're working on. You know, this is what we're addressing right now.
Because I am so into the law of attraction, and I totally understand what you're saying, because that can start a negative momentum. But what you're doing is you're bringing it out so that you can shine a light on it and clear it.
Exactly.
So, yes, it's yes. Great. It's great.
Yeah, and you can, in EFT, you can just simply focus on that emotion. Like, I am so angry. I have so much anger in my chest. I feel so much anger. You can do that. I tend to do kind of more intuitive, like talking about what it could mean, that kind of thing. And at the end, I also like to throw in what's called a reframe. And the reframe is, what's another way of looking at this, basically?
Yeah.
So maybe, okay, like if your mom didn't hug you when you wanted a hug one day, you know, oh, maybe mom was upset. Maybe it had nothing to do with me. Maybe she would have given me a hug if I'd asked her 1 minute later. You know, just like resetting the possibilities of what actually could have happened.
Yeah. I get that.
So, and that I like doing the reframe because it can often bring up additional things that need to be looked at, and because it ends on a nice positive note. Yeah. So when you just tap, basically, until you feel a shift, or until you kind of can't think of anything else to say, and then you check in again. So we'll do this, you know, we'll do some tapping, and then we'll check in. Okay, 0 to 10, where are you now? And let's say you go from a 7 to a 4. Then you say, okay, what's still there? And then you do more tapping, and you just keep tapping until you get to a 0, until you're neutral to it.
And then could it come up again? Because personally, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but as you know, it has come up again. It's something that I feel that I've worked through, but still, every so often it comes up. Maybe there's something else behind it. I don't know.
No, you're exactly right. In EFT, we call them aspects,
Okay.
and each event or each belief has different aspects about them. And the example that I usually give is, let's say you're in a car wreck
Mm-hmm.
and you become afraid of driving.
Mm-hmm.
So we tap through, what happened, the pain, your thoughts while you were waiting for the ambulance, all of that stuff. But maybe we didn't tap on the screech of the tires or in the sound of the crash.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're driving along thinking you're good, and then all of a sudden somebody slams on the brakes, there's a screech of the tires, and you go into panic mode again.
Right, right.
So there's different aspects that, usually things don't come back, but it might just be like, and with a belief, beliefs are multi-layered.
Yeah.
They're very layered, and there's many, many events throughout your life. Once you have a belief, and as you're going through your life, you're looking for evidence that that belief is true.
Yeah.
And so typically, if you tap through, let's say 3 to 5 events, typically the other ones will fall away. And, like I said, they can be multi-layered, and it also depends on the level of trauma. Like if they're a big T trauma, like really something very serious in your life, it might take a little bit longer.
Okay.
But typically you can tap them away, and then I've had clients who come back the next week and I'm like, okay, so how are you doing with this? What we tapped on the previous week? And they're like, what are you talking about? That wasn't a problem for me. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
It is magic.
Yeah.
That's great. So can we go through one with today?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. And I do have a tapping script that I put together around wanting approval from others, and when you're writing your song.
That's huge. Oh my gosh, that is so huge. I don't know why I didn't say that.
We could do that. We can do both. We can do whatever you want. But that is something that stops a lot of people.
Because that's also tied into the whole age thing. The approval of me being older, or the approval of me pursuing my dreams.
Yeah, the approval of the industry, the approval that you're older.
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. So, you think we should do that one?
Why don't we do kind of a shorter one on the being older, and then we can go through the confidence one. We can do it.
Sure.
I mean, tapping, you can do tapping in 10 to 15 minutes and have it completely done. Like everything, that issue just gone.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So follow along with me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Even though I need to make peace with the fact that I'm older.
I need to make peace with the fact that I'm older.
Compared to the other people in the music writing industry. Maybe it's music industry in general, right? Yeah. And I do have some regret that I lost all those years of when I could have been writing songs.
I do have some regret that I've lost all those years that I could have been writing songs.
I deeply love and completely accept myself.
I deeply love and completely accept myself.
Top of the head. Being older in the music industry isn't easy.
Being older in the music industry isn't easy.
Top of the eye. There can be this sense that I'm already washed out.
There can be this sense that I'm already washed out.
Side of the eye. I'm surrounded by people who are 10, 15, 20 years younger than me.
I'm surrounded by people who are 10, 15, 20 years younger than me.
It's considered a young person's industry.
It's considered a young person's industry.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage.
Because I'm older.
Because I'm older.
I feel like I'm competing with all these younger people,
I feel like I'm competing with all these younger people,
and that I'm not going to get the opportunities and the recognition that I should get
and that I'm not going to get the opportunities and the recognition that I should get
just because of my age.
just because of my age.
And bottom of the ribs, I could have been writing songs all those years
You've been writing songs all those years.
and been the quote right age.
And then the quote. Actually, I'm going to have to change that one, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been writing all those years. I never left my job and I just never pursued it seriously. When
I
I,
never gave, yeah, I never gave myself permission.
I never gave myself permission. Exactly.
Under the arm. I thought I should stick with my corporate job,
I thought I should stick with my corporate job.
that was the responsible thing to do.
That was the responsible thing to do.
Society told me I should have a stable job and take care of my family.
Society told me I should have a stable job and take care of my family.
So that's what I did.
That's what I did.
And I ignored the calling of my heart.
And I ignored the calling of my heart.
I knew I was in the wrong job.
Cry.
Oh no.
I'm starting to get emotional.
I knew I was in the wrong job.
I knew I was in the wrong job.
But I felt stuck.
I felt stuck.
I didn't feel like I had a choice.
I didn't feel like I had a choice.
I felt like I had to be responsible.
I felt like I had to be responsible.
Isn't that what a responsible, mature adult does?
Isn't that what a responsible, mature adult does?
Responsible, mature adults don't quit their jobs to pursue some dream.
Responsible, mature adults don't quit their jobs to pursue some dream.
That may or may not happen.
May or may not happen.
Even if it is the desire of their hearts.
Even if it is the desire of their heart.
And I always worried that maybe I wasn't worthy.
I always worried that maybe I wasn't worthy
to pursue my dream.
Pursue my dream.
Maybe I wasn't good enough.
Maybe I wasn't good enough.
Maybe I just wasn't worthy just because I was myself.
Maybe I just wasn't worthy because I was myself.
Maybe I didn't deserve it.
Maybe I didn't deserve it.
But that dream never left my heart.
That dream never left my heart.
And it finally became too big where I couldn't ignore it anymore.
And it finally became too big where I couldn't ignore it anymore.
And those years weren't wasted.
Those years weren't wasted.
I was growing into who I am now.
Growing into who I am now.
I was having so many experiences.
So many experiences
that I can now use in my songwriting. I'm richer because of them. And that's why it's okay for me to be older in this industry.
That's why it's okay for me to be older in this industry.
I remember being in my 20s.
I remember being in my 20s.
Thinking I knew it all.
Thinking I knew it all.
But having experienced what I've experienced. Has made my heart deepen.
Has made my heart deepen.
Has made me more open to the kind of divine and inner creativity of my soul.
It's made me more open to the divine creativity of my soul.
Under the eyes. I started pursuing my dream at the exact right time for me.
I started pursuing my dream at the exact right time for me.
If the industry doesn't agree, too darn bad.
Too darn bad.
They can't stop me.
They can't stop me.
They can't stop me from pursuing my dreams and using my gift.
You can't stop me from pursuing my dreams and using my gift.
There are tons of people who started late in life.
There are tons of people who started late in life.
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders.
Who else? There's so many people. Trying to think of the lady,
Hey.
Louise Hay. Yeah, and look at her. Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, and the lady who wrote, there was a book and it became #1 bestseller. It was her first and only book, and I think she wrote it at like 84.
Who's that?
Oh, it's this, and Women of the Club, I think is the name of the book.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yes. So there is no age limit on dreams.
No age limit on dreams.
I'm not in competition with these younger people.
I'm in competition with these younger people.
They have their gifts.
They have their gifts.
I have mine.
Mine.
It downplays my gift if I compare it to theirs,
Downplays my gift if I compare it to theirs,
or if I worry about when I started using it.
or if I worry about when I started using it.
All I need to do is open to it and love it.
All I need to do is open to it, love it.
Exactly where I am right now.
Exactly where I am right now.
What else would you say to yourself?
You're doing well. You've done well, and you're continuing to do well. I would say that I'm proud of myself.
Good.
Getting this far. I have been through a lot. And I'm still here. And I have this chance to pursue my dream and live a life that I love, and be an example of someone who does that, so that others can maybe do the same if they choose to. Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's stop and check in. 0 to 10.
At this moment, I would have to say I'm at a 0. I'm at a 0. That felt really, really good. Thank you so much. It's amazing. Amazing.
Well, and on the younger people, just bless them exactly where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone needs mentors and examples and shining lights to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're blessed to have you.
Thank you. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for that. And thank you for taking out the time to tapping with us. This was amazing. Can you please tell everyone how they can find you, how they can reach out to you, if you have a website, Facebook, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, I am, of course, in the middle of transition, but that's okay. I do have tappingintoyourtrueself.com. And people can email me at lisa@tappingintoyourtrueself.com. I'm a Facebook page as well, tappingintoyourtrueself.com. So my transition is just to make it more specific to the helping people get unstuck kind of a thing, but that's still me.
Okay, thank you so much once again for joining me today. And everyone, I think we're going to do a part 2 with Lisa because that was so great. Maybe the next one we can go into the tapping about having approval from other people. What do you think, Lisa?
That would be a great one. That it can really create a lot of writer's block when you're trying to get approval from other people.
Definitely. We will definitely see Lisa again for the next tapping. And thank you once again. Goodbye, everyone. Happy songwriting.